Forgive me as I work through this, for I do not have a teleprompter. What is a teleprompter, and who is writing the words behind that curtain? As you know, my name is George Washington. Out there, I was confused with Captain Morgan. That will be later. Some quick facts about me. I was born February 22nd, 1732. I was from the great state of Virginia. My party affiliation was none. Believe it or not, I had no loyalties. In 1775 through 1783, I was chosen to be the honorable leader of the Continental Army in the American War of Independence. I served as president of your great country from 1789, 2 terms, 1793 to 1797.
Do it again.
I would like to share with you several statements from my farewell address. Quite interesting, 235 years later. Please listen. The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. And for those of you that do not know what despotism means, it means tyranny. But this leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. The disorders and miseries which result gradually incline the minds of men to seek security and repose in the absolute power of an individual. And sooner or later, the chief of some prevailing faction, more able or more fortunate than his competitors, turns this disposition to the purposes of his own elevation on the ruins of public liberty. It is important, likewise, that the habits of thinking in a free country should inspire caution in those entrusted with its administration to confine themselves within their respective constitutional spheres, avoiding in the exercise of the powers of one department to encroach upon another. The spirit of encroachment tends to consolidate the powers of all the departments in one, and thus to create, whatever the form of government, a real despotism. A just estimate of that love of power and proneness to abuse it, which predominates in the human heart, is sufficient to satisfy us of the truth of this position. The necessity of reciprocal checks in the exercise of political power by dividing and distributing it into different depositories and constituting each the guardian. Again, no teleprompter. Public weal against invasion by others has been evidenced by experience, ancient and modern, some of them in our country and under our own eyes. To preserve them must be as necessary as to institute them. If in the opinion of the people, that's you, the distribution or modification of the constitutional powers be in any particular wrong, let it be corrected by an amendment in the way which the Constitution designates. But let there be no change by usurpation. For though this, in one instance, may be the instrument of good, it is the customary weapon by which free governments are destroyed. The precedent must always greatly overbalance in permanent evil any partial or transient benefit which the use can at any time yield. I have a few quotes I'd like to share from some of our forefathers. Myself, it is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God in the Bible. Firearms are second only to the Constitution in importance. They are the people's liberty of teeth. Government is not reason. It is not elegant. It is force. Like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few. And let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence. Experience and history teaches us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy, foreign or domestic, from imposing themselves than it is to dislodge them after they have possession. If freedom of speech is taken away or controlled, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to slaughter. The marvel of history is the patience with which men and women submit to burdens unnecessarily laid upon them by their governments. My good friend Thomas Jefferson, I never considered a difference of opinion in politics, religion, and philosophy as a cause for withdrawing from a friend. I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. My reading of history convinced, again 235 years ago, convinces me that most bad government results from too much government. That government is the best which governs the least, because its people discipline themselves.